guys, my name is Amanda. This is Elliot. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. If you have not subscribed to my channel and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. If you do subscribe, go ahead and hit that bell button so you're notified every single time that I upload. Also, please remember to give me a big thumbs up if you like the content of this video, as that really helps me out here on YouTube. Enjoy the video. Here's an idea for you. This gorgeous wooden star wall hanging. Absolutely beautiful, customizable on a budget. Just grab up 3 of these wooden star hangings with frames from the Dollar Tree. They're easy to separate by untying the twine. I then painted the star part with Waverly plaster, and for the frame part, I rubbed on some Waverly antique wax with a baby wipe and rubbed it off. Then you're ready to go ahead and customize these. So easy and fun. You could use rub-on transfer stickers from Dollar Tree. You could use wrapping paper. You could freehand. I had this beautiful wrapping paper on hand, so I went ahead and cut out these little wreaths. I just thought it would be absolutely gorgeous on these stars. So I used some Mod Podge on the back of my wrapping paper circle to adhere it to my painted star. Again, the sky is the limit. You could cut out little images that you like, print them off of your computer. So here's what everything looks like so far, and I did decide to go ahead and dry brush my stars with some Waverly Silver Lining chalk paints. Here's what that looks like, and then I just put my stars back together by pushing the twine through the hole at the top of my star, and then using the back part of the twine to go through the top of the hole on the frame, and the front part of the twine to go through the bottom of the hole on the frame, and then just tying them together. So hopefully that makes sense. And when I tied this two pieces together, I did glue down that little knot. And of course, I repeat the same process on all 3 of these, getting them exactly how I like them. And then I'm just taking the excess twine at the top and snipping it off so that it is tied, but there is no excess. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue my stars together. I glue 2 of them together at the bottom using one of the points of the stars for each one, and then I glue one at the top by gluing down the 2 bottom points of the stars to the other stars to attach. I reinforce the back with some hot glue, and then I take some pieces of twine and just glue it to the tips of the stars like you see me doing here to make it look like these stars are still hanging. I know it may be a little confusing the way I worded it, but I know you guys can see it, so hopefully that all makes sense. I had some strips of this beautiful birchwood ribbon, so I just formed loops with these strips and then glued the loops together. So I did this twice so I could form a crisscross for my bow. Once that is done, I cut an extra length to be my tails, and then I took a piece of jute twine and wrapped it tightly around the middle, tying a knot, and then all you have to do is just go ahead and fluff out your bow. If you don't have little strips cut that you need to fold over, and then you could just take 2 longer strips and fold them over to be the top pieces of your bow. And here we go, a gorgeous easy bow. I'm just going to dovetail the tails by cutting a triangle upward for a boutique finish. I'm going to attach my bow at the top here, and then I had some pieces of greenery from an old Christmas tree that has seen better days. So I glued a couple pieces of that down on either side, as well as tucking in some little pip berries for a little pop of color. Here is what this looks like. So easy, so gorgeous, so inexpensive. I really hope that you like this rustic statement piece for Christmas. Okay guys, let's hop right into our next easy, inexpensive idea. This beautiful set of bells. This gorgeous wall hanging or door hanging only cost me around $2, as you can purchase all 3 of these small pots at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Used my glue gun to make a hole in the bottom of each one of these, and the bottom is going to be our top. Now I know many people have made these bells, or when similar glue guns and roses comes to mind. I know she made some gorgeous ones, but here is my take on it. So I paint these little planters with Waverly texture chalk paint to give myself a nice base. And I go over them lightly with a Waverly Silver Aligning Chalk paint to add a little more color. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and take some Waverly Elephant Chalk paint and just a dry brush over these for some contrast. So I'm just using a stencil brush to kind of sparingly brush on this elephant chalk paint. When that is dry, I did decide to go ahead and take some Waverly Antique wax and even more sparingly brush that in places so it looked like it had a little bit of rust here and there, just to add to that beautiful vintage look. I did the inside of my bells as well, just for a more finished look. So here's what this looks like, and here's the antique wax that I brush on. Now I do Mod Podge my bells so the paint does not scratch off. Now I'm going to take some little bells from, I believe I got them from Dollar General. You got about 6 for $1, and they were gold, but I painted them with a Waverly Elephant chalk paint. Then I just used some twine to string through the bell and up through the bottom of my pot, which again is the top. I tied a knot so the twine would not go through that hole. I glued my knot down, and I did this to all 3 of my bells. You can make the twine longer at the top if you wanted your bells to hang longer. I gathered up all the twine and tied them together so I had a bunch of bells. I then formed a loop with some extra twine and just glued the knot of my loop to the knot of my hanging bells. And that way I can go ahead and hang my bells. Again, you can make these as long or as short as you want. Absolutely customizable. I then created a cute and easy bow with this red and white checked ribbon from Dollar General last year for $1. Now I flip it backwards so I can go ahead and put some more of these greenery pieces from my sad little Christmas tree that was going to be trashed. I glue them to the back, so when you're looking at this from the front, you can see that beautiful greenery peeking through, and here's what this looks like. It's about a $2 craft, you guys. So easy, so fun. I absolutely love it. Okay, next idea. Let's use some summer and kind of unusual items to create this beautiful wreath, but they are Dollar Tree items, and I know a lot of people lately have been using hula hoops and pool noodles. I absolutely love using these. It gives you such a gorgeous size wreath. You just take your pool noodle and you cut down the center of it. I just used a bread knife to do so. And then once you do that, your pool noodle fits perfectly onto your hula hoops. I used about one whole one and then about 3/4 of a second one. I just used my bread knife once again to cut off the little bit extra there, and then I used some white duct tape to attach the pool noodles like so. I also applied some white duct tape here and there on top of my little wreath because hot glue sticks so much better to duct tape than it does to a wreath form made of foam, even though I really didn't end up using hot glue. Okay, and now this beautiful garland I purchased recently at Hobby Lobby, 75% off from 4th of July. It would probably be 90% off at this point, but these pieces of burlap and fabric were the perfect size to tie onto my wreath form. So kind of an easy little cheat there. If you could find them, I only paid about $3 per garland, and you could have easily used 3 or 4 on this wreath form. I only grabbed 2, but I made it work. I just discarded that blue and white checked ribbon for a different project, and I just went ahead and tied on my burlap and my red and white check ribbon alternated. Used the strips from both of my garlands, and when I ran out of that, I took some ribbon that I had in my stash. Absolutely a beautiful ribbon with a Christmas barn on it. I believe I purchased it from Walmart on clearance last year, and some burlap from Dollar Tree that I purchased on clearance. No, not on clearance, just at Dollar Tree. Sorry, guys. But I cut these down to size using this blue and white checked piece as a guide, and then I just went ahead and repeated the same process with this fabric as I did the last. I just tied these pieces on alternated. I did leave a piece of wreath form bare, and I took some of this Dollar Tree burlap and wrapped it around the bare part of my wreath form. Okay, let's create a gorgeous, humongous bow for this ginormous wreath. This wreath is huge, you guys. Probably longer than 3 feet wide. I'm sorry I'm getting a little tongue-tied in this video. It is coffee time. I know you guys hear me say that quite often, but it's just one of those days. So anyway, I create a large loop on either side with my burlap ribbon and I set it down. Then I have 2 strips of this gorgeous barn ribbon. I just create half loops with those by tucking them over and gluing them down. Then I'm just laying them like so. Now I have a long strip of this red and white buffalo check ribbon and I am just folding it over and gluing that down. So here you'll see me creating an X formation there. Once that is done, I'm going to cut 2 tails of each fabric and then just stack them on top of each other. You absolutely do not have to have so many tails. I just had the ribbon on hand, so I thought, oh, why not? Then you bunch all of your ribbon pieces together like so, and I tie them very tightly with a piece of thick twine. I like to tie it, flip it over, and knot it in the back, pulling tightly as I go. Once that is done, you cut off the excess twine there and then go ahead and fluff your bow out by sticking your fingers in between the loops of ribbon and just giving it a good fluffing. And then I like to take my little ends there and dovetail them by cutting a triangle upward, which is absolutely optional. This wreath is so customizable. If you have an old tablecloth or even like an old bedspread or some old fabric, you could cut it into the same size strips and just create this absolutely gorgeous, humongous statement piece for Christmas or any holiday really on a simple budget, as your wreath form is only a few dollars. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue this huge bow down, and this and that spot where I covered in burlap is really the only place on this whole wreath that I use glue, besides gluing down a little bit of this piece of Christmas tree here. Again, you guys, I could go ahead and untie these little pieces of ribbon and remake this over for a different season. So reusable and very economical. I think this is absolutely stunning and I am really proud of this. I cannot wait to put it out for the Christmas season. All right, and next idea, you guys. Let's make some Christmas logs. I've seen these done a million ways. I'm going to use pool noodles and I'm going to cut them down to various lengths. I'm not really picky about what size they are. I just want 3 for my bottom layer, maybe about an inch different in size. I don't want them all perfect. And then I'm going to want 2 for my middle layer that are a little bit smaller and 1 for my top layer. Now I have seen people paint these. I've seen Barry and Bethany use toilet paper on these. I've seen so many different things, but for mine, I decided to go ahead and cover them in duct tape. So I covered the ends with duct tape and then I just wrapped duct tape around the middle. You do not have to be neat. As a matter of fact, if there are some lumps and bumps, that's just going to add character to your logs. Now, the reason I am not painting them is because I have this almost like a papery kind of ribbon that Dollar Tree has been carrying that is a beautiful birchwood pattern. So I'm just going to cut pieces and glue them down on top of the ends of my pool noodle. And then I am going to cut strips and wrap them around my pool noodle, just gluing them together. Now I am going to try and make sure that each loop of this ribbon matches up. So my seams are all on one side. So there's only one ugly side, which could be pointed downward. And honestly, it blends together so well, you can barely even notice it. So I just complete this whole log. Now when I get toward the end of it, I do have to cut down a piece of ribbon as it is a little too thick for that last part of the log, but so easy peasy, you guys. This is the quickest project here we go with my tongue tied, that is so easy, so inexpensive, so fun, and I only used just over a pool noodle and a piece to be exact, so just over $1.25. And I also only used just over a spool of this ribbon. Like I think I did all of them except one of my smaller logs with one thing of ribbon. And you absolutely don't have to make as many logs as I did, you guys. So here is what this looks like. Okay, let's pop them together and make them pretty. So I do my 3 longer ones. Again, they're a little bit varied in size and I like that. I just glue them together to form the bottom of my stack. And then I'm going to glue 2 on top of those. I glue them underneath and I also glue a little bit on the side to hold them together. Then I'm just going to go ahead and pop my little tiny one on top. Then I'm going to take a doubled over piece of twine and tie that around my log stack. Now you could absolutely leave it at this if you want that simple look and you want it to be kind of multi-seasonal, or you could pop some things on it for fall, whatever you like. I'm going to go ahead and decorate mine up for Christmas. So we're just going to make a little bow by folding over these 2 smaller pieces of ribbon, putting them side by side, scrunching them together like so. I also have a piece cut for my tails, which I am going to scrunch into my little bunch before I begin to tie it tightly with this twine. Once it is tied tightly, I trim off the excess of my twine. I do dovetail my little tails there, as you've heard me say several times in this video, by cutting a triangle upward. Then I'm going to go ahead and glue this on to what I have decided is going to be the front of my stack using some hot glue. I'm also going to tuck, you guessed it, a couple more of these little Christmas tree branches, but you could use any Christmas greenery you liked, and some of my little pitberry stems in there. And here is what this looks like, just a couple dollars. All of these projects are so inexpensive, and I had so much fun making them. Please let me know if you want more Christmas in July below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't. Don't forget that thumbs up, and take care, friends. Okay, let's do our last look at these gorgeous bells, these beautiful stars, this absolutely humongous wreath, and our log stack. I truly hope you enjoyed today's video. I appreciate you guys more than you will ever know, and I hope to see you soon.
You can subscribe to my mom's channel, and thank you for watching today's craft and stay safe.